Hi, friends. We are back with another episode of Turn the Paige podcast. I am your host, Paige. This is my very sleepy co host, Luna. And this week, we are once again going off the script because you know what? Life has currently gone way off script the last few weeks. Last week, I got on here and I talked to you guys about the craziness that life had become and life being in motion and how we can intentionally move through that to create a life of quality. Well, guess what? I had to swallow a big pill of reality because things got even crazier this week. I know. You just have to be careful what you wish for and be mindful of what you say because life will show up and test you. And that is exactly what has happened to me this last week. And so I wanted to share it. I wanted to talk about it because it's freaking relatable, number one. And number two, I feel like that is what connects me the most with other people is when I share pieces of my story and the things that I'm going through and the way that I'm learning to navigate through it and how they can take that and integrate it into their own life, into their own shit that they're going through. So we are going to dive right in. And it makes me laugh because, like I said, I felt like things were already very high intensity and very chaotic. And the minute that I thought, okay, now things are going to chill out, literally, the universe laughed in my face. And that's okay. That's okay. Because again, we are going to take some lessons out of it and we are going to move forward with our heads held high, compensating with a little bit of humor, and start another new chapter. So, as most of you know, as many of you know who know me personally or who have been listening, I have been a hairstylist for 16 years. And from about 2015, so almost 11 of those years, I have worked at a salon in the next town over. And that building was owned by this sweet lady. Her name's Nancy Armold. And I came to her in a very vulnerable state in my life. I was currently going through my first divorce and I was embarking on being a single mom, starting my life over, all of these things. I showed up at her salon and was just like, I need a job. I need a job. I would love to booth rent. Do you have a space for me? And she opened her doors to me with open arms. And it was the beginning of a very big chapter in my life. So fast forward a couple years and Nancy was ready to sell the building. Well, fortunately enough, my dad is in real estate and real estate in the sense of he buys and flips properties, buys and rents properties. So she approached him to see if he would be interested in buying it. And lo and behold, he was. So since then, my dad had owned the property. A year ago, again, another change. My dad is getting closer to retirement and wanted to slow down. So he decided to sell the building. And long story short, I found out on Monday that my landlord for the past year has decided to close the salon. Yes. I have had to take some serious time to process that news and that information and what that means for me and my business. There used to be multiple stylists who worked in the salon, and now there's just me. So from a business perspective, I totally get it. From a personal perspective, I am scared shitless. Now, have no fear. If you are my client and you are listening, we are going to still be in business. I promise you, it's just going to look a little differently. And so let me, again, backtrack. That is the update. That is the life update of the crazy train that has been my life the last few weeks, that I am going to be making a massive shift in my career. Now, if you've been listening, if you've talked to me in the last 2 years of my life, you know that I have been craving change. You know that I have been desiring something different. I've been cutting back my hours at the salon. I've gotten an astrology certification. I've gotten a holistic health coaching certification. I've been toying with different ideas and trying to find exactly what it is that I want to do and how I want to bring this all together. I've started multiple podcasts in the last couple years. This one being the one that really, hit home and felt like it was the place for me to be at this season in my life. And it's felt so good and it's felt so beautiful. And I pursue writing, and that's something that's a part of my dreams. And so all of these things have been percolating in different ways, in different places. And, I have been trying to find a bridge to bring it all together. And most recently, I have been really setting the intention in my life that what is no longer serving me falls away. And praying that the clarity that I need to be able to pursue my dreams in its wholeness, in its fullest capacity comes through, so that I can see it, I can understand it, and I have the courage to take action on it. Well, you see, this is what happens when you manifest, when you pray, when you set intentions. The universe is listening. God is, hey, my ears are open. I'm here. I'm ready to support you. It just may not be in the ways that we thought that it should. And that's been the biggest lesson that I have really come to this week as I have gone through all of these emotions: fear, uncertainty, excitement, relief, annoyance, anger, grief, like so many emotions in such a short period of time. And at the end of that, I'm not through it. Obviously, I'm still moving through it. But as I'm moving through it, the biggest lesson that is coming in is like the universe responding to me and saying, what do you expect? What do you expect? You've been asking for this. You have been setting the intention for these changes, and you didn't know how you were going to get there. You didn't know what it was going to look like. And we just gave you the biggest shove in the right direction of it all. And we are stripping away the things that are no longer serving you. We are aligning you with divine will. And it wasn't on my terms. That's the kicker. That's the kicker. That's the biggest thing. It's like, yes, the initial shock, jarring, terrifying. And as I had to sit with that, as I had to let myself be uncomfortable, as I had to let myself just like feel sorry for myself for a day. Because when life is crazy and when things continue to happen and you just feel like you can't handle anymore, you have to also give yourself a second to just like be sad, be, in a little pity party for yourself. That's okay. But you also get the choice to set a limit on that. Give that a boundary. I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to stay in the victim mindset. I'm not going to, you know, fall down and let life just steamroll over me. No, life is in motion and I'm going to jump back on and be in motion with it. But I have to be willing to accept the fact that it's not going to be on my terms. Because when we set these unspoken expectations for life, we're going to continuously be let down. When we set these unspoken spoken expectations for ourselves that just like live inside of our head and tell us that we should be able to handle all of this with complete grace, and we shouldn't have to have big feelings, and we shouldn't, feel the duality of how sad it is, but also how exciting that this chapter is going to be changing and shifting. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect. And that's a big lesson that I've had to really, really learn in my life. But yeah, as I had to like take a big look at this entire situation, it really made me realize that this is what I've wanted. This is what I've been asking for. And it's not fair for me to be pissed off at the universe for providing it, even though just because it didn't provide it in the way that I wanted it to. We have about this much control, a teeny tiny amount of control over this world and our lives. The only thing that we can control is how we react to it and how we respond to it. And again, like I said, that initial response, I cried. I got off the phone with my landlord and I cried. And then I called my dad because, when you run into a business crisis, at least in my world, you call dad. And he gives really sound advice on how we're going to navigate it and how we're going to get through. I had to give myself the opportunity to just be human and just have the feelings that I needed to have about it. And I'm going to continue to give myself permission as this continues to change and progress. So, now understanding more of the timeline of these changes, I'm going to be working in the salon until the end of the year. And then we've got to do something new. Do I have a plan? Absolutely. Is it going to be great and is it going to be beautiful in the end? Absolutely. Is the transition probably going to be a little bit messy? Is it going to be a little bit stressful? Yeah, it is. And I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm going to be overstimulated and there's going to be fears that are going to come up and insecurities that are going to come up. But am I going to trust that this is where I am meant to be every step of the way? Abso-freaking-lutely, because I haven't done all of this work on myself and in this life to just give up when it gets hard, when it gets uncomfortable. Most of the time, the things that are the most worth it in our lives take the biggest risks. And right now, what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, what I'm trying to figure out, is it going to be a really big risk? Yeah, it is. But is it leading me toward what the answer that I have been asking for to come to fruition, to come all together? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to be able to have a space that is just mine where I can continue my hair business and I can pursue my health coaching business and record my podcast so it's not in my bedroom, and be able to connect with people through astrology and just bring all of these passions into one space that is mine in a holistic way. And that feels really, really exciting. And I'm trying to focus on that excitement, but not ignore the uncomfortable feelings that are coming up with that. And I think that that is a lesson that all of us can take into so many different aspects in our life. When we ask for change, when we pray for change in a certain situation or clarity on a certain situation, we have to be willing to open our eyes and attain perspective so that we can be led instead of just bulldozing through thinking that we have the answers and that unless it shows up in the way that we think it should, we're going to ignore everything else. What if we don't actually know what the best thing is for us? What if all of these other things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't even know, and the universe is pushing us towards what is meant for us, and then we're trying to fight that, resist it, move against us to pursue our own agenda. And we are taking longer to get to where we're actually meant to be because we won't just stop and listen. We just won't stop and be led. We just won't stop and surrender and release control. I, for so long in my life, have felt like I have something to prove. And I got some really good advice from a mentor that I worked with last year that you don't have anything to prove. You just get to be the proof. You get to be the proof of the work and your life and the healing that you have done and all of the decisions that you have made. And that is what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing each and every time life tests me or challenges me, is that I'm reminding myself that I get to be the proof in this. I get to be the proof in this, that this doesn't have to define me, that this doesn't have to completely derail everything that I've worked so hard for, because I'm not the same person that I once was. And that is what makes it so impactful. That's what prevents me from being completely diminished by these big life changes. How can I have perspective? How can I learn? And those are questions that we can all ask when life challenges us, when things are so out of our control that we feel like it's like suffocating us or stretching us or pushing us or forcing us so far out of our comfort zones, we can't see straight. We have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to continue to keep moving forward. And we have to be willing. We just have to be willing to see it a different way. And another thing that happened this week that was just really disappointing, because there's going to be things in life that are disappointing for us, was that I had been working on a petition and kind of spearheading this whole movement of getting our local high school track named after a track coach that has been with our school corporation for almost 50 years. And we were informed this week that the current policy in place that needed to be changed so that this could happen was voted no against. And that sucked. That really, really sucked. And this has been a beautiful experience. It's, created this really cool relationship with this track coach and I've embarked on this journey in his honor, and I've been able to use my voice and use my writing and really show the confidence I have in who I am and what I believe in a way that I never thought I would. Going to school board meetings, having meetings with our superintendent, and sharing this information with a group of alumni and people who know this man online in a way that has been kind and respectful and, really classy. And that's something that I'm really, really proud of, even though the outcome wasn't what we wanted. But as I've left that situation, as I left these meetings, as I got this news on the same day, mind you, as I got the news that my landlord was going to be closing the salon. So talk about really just piling it on. But I left that situation, and my cousin that has been working on it closely with me, he was like, everything you've done has been so incredible. Like, I'm so proud of you. You have just handled this so well, and I don't want you to feel defeated. And in that moment, I kind of did a little mini self-reflection, and I was like, at the end of all of this, I don't take it personally. I don't take it personally because I didn't start this venture feeling as though I needed to prove something, because this wasn't about me. This was about me being of service to this man that has created a massive impact in our community and our corporation and in my life. And I had to stop and really celebrate that, because even though, again, it wasn't the news that we wanted, I was shown just how much I have grown. And again, it's not that it was about me at all, but me having such a big hand in it, I had to reflect on that. I had to like really take a second and be like, holy shit, the you 5 years ago, if she would have done this, she would have taken this so personally. She would have taken this entire thing so personally. And that no would have felt like such a big rejection. And at the end of the day, now, the me that I am now is not taking any of this. The thing with the salon, the thing with the petition, neither of these things am I taking personally. These aren't personal rejections of who I am and what I do and the talents that I have. These are redirections. These are redirections in my life because, again, I set the intention every single day to live it by asking God and the universe to align me with divine will, to release anything that is no longer serving me, and for the way that I show up in the world to not come from my ego or from a place of feeling like I have something to prove, but just allowing me to be me. And again, I'm sharing that. I'm sharing all of this with all of you because you can do that too. You have that power too, to set the intention for how you wish to live and to learn and understand and grow and love yourself so deeply that when life gives you shit, because it will, you're not going to take it so freaking personally. And when you ask for things and you pray for things and you manifest for things and you get them in a way that is different than how you imagined, you're willing to be curious about it. You're willing to accept it. You're willing to hear that message of like, hey, what'd you expect? You've been asking for this. And even though it's not showing up in the way that you think that it should have, it's still a gift. It's still a gift. This life is a gift. And we get to choose how we decide to live it. And we don't have to let it be controlled by all of these unspoken expectations. And we don't have to let ourselves be continuously steamrolled by the unexpected that happens in life. I feel like I just went on a really big rant. So if you're hanging in there with me, thank you. I appreciate it. But I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing what can happen when you give yourself the time to process, to feel, instead of shoving it away or pretending that it doesn't exist. Like, yeah, at the end of the conversation with my landlord, I told my dad, he's like, please don't cry. Please don't cry. I was crying. And he was like, we're going to figure it out. It's all going to be okay. And I told him, I said, I know that. Deep down in my bones, I know that because I have been through a lot of things in my life, that have been hard. And one thing that I know for sure is that I can get through it. One thing that I know for sure is that it's all going to be all right because I have proven to myself time and time again that I can do hard things and that I can get through hard things. But right now, in that moment, I was like, I'm just really scared. I'm just really scared because who isn't scared of change? Who isn't scared of the unknown? Can you also be excited about it at the same time? Yes. Yes, you can. But if you don't acknowledge that fear, if you don't acknowledge that they both exist, you're not being honest with yourself. And if you're not being honest with yourself, then you're not able to really move forward in wholeness, in wholeness. And you're more likely to start reacting to all of the changes versus choosing how to respond. And that is another thing that I used to feel like I had to have all of the answers right now, right away, right away, right away. There's no time for patience, and you have to talk it out right now. You have to figure it out right now. You have to express yourself right now. And in this situation, I once again proved to myself that I am very different because I said, "Hey, I'm going to need a couple days to get back to you." I said this to my landlord. "I'm going to need a couple days to get back to you." And I didn't pick up the phone right away and call my best friends and share the news with the next client that walked through the door. I didn't talk about it for a couple days. Did I talk about it to my dad? Yes. But then I didn't talk about it with anybody for a couple days because I needed a minute to just process and figure out how I was going to respond rather than just immediately reacting. And again, all of these things, all of these revelations that I've had about myself and my response to life has surprised me. But again, the universe piped up and was like, "What do you expect? You have done a lot of really hard work to get yourself to where you are." And it's this reminder that the work is worth it. The work is worth it. So do it, even when it's hard. Do the work. Show up for yourself. Prove to yourself that things can change and you can be different. I've been on this journey for 5 years. 5 years now. 5 years of my life, I have started peeling back the layers and started seeing myself through a different lens and started loving myself a little bit louder each and every day. And it's paying off. It's paying off. And we all have the capacity to do that. We all have the capacity to choose that because it's not about the expectations of life. It's about the experience of it. These expectations that we put on who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to create and how we're supposed to get there is just bullshit. It's bullshit. It's noise from the world. It's noise from the world that is telling us that we're meant to follow this linear path to reach the epitome of success. What is success? I have no fucking idea because half the people that I know that are retired have a lot of things that they wish that they would have done differently. And a lot of people who are experiencing the tragedy of life coming to an end look back and think, "Man, I wish I would have done things so differently." And I think that we all feel that way about different things in our lives. We all feel that way about different seasons and different reactions that we've had to different life changes that have come up. But it's in real time when we can stop and choose to not react and only respond, when we can set aside the expectations and really start embracing the experience. This big change with my landlord, this big change with my career, it's a part of the experience. It's a part of my experience. I'm not a victim to it. I'm not a victim to it. I don't want to be a victim to life anymore. And I can only do that by choosing it. You can only do that by choosing it. And I think that it feels a little crazy. It feels a little crazy to just be processing all of this in real time, but it also feels really good and it feels really freeing. And even though it feels uncomfortable too, I know that at the end of the day, this is leading me to a lesson, a path that I'm meant to travel, who I'm meant to be, understanding another part of that, loving myself even harder through that, and being able to expand and explore and embrace another chapter that this life has to offer in my story. So that felt very quick-winded, but I want each and every one of you to know that is listening that life is going to challenge you. And it's up to you to choose to respond to it instead of reacting from it. And you also get the permission to set aside the expectations, whether they're the ones that live inside your brain, whether they're coming from your spouse, whether they're coming from your parents, whether they're coming from the world. That noise isn't going to get you to where you want to be. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to shun anything that anybody asks you to do or wants from you, but you get the choice to again be able to respond to it instead of just reacting from a place that feels like autopilot. Because, ask and you shall receive. Like the universe told me this week. What'd you expect? What'd you expect? You have been searching for clarity. You have been searching for courage, and now you get to put it to a test. So, I would love for you to all send me all the good vibes as we embark on this new journey, because it's going to be a real trip, like I said. And again, like I said, for all of those who are clients of mine, no, I'm not going out of business, but we will be relocating, and that is all to be determined. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be new. But I'm also going to be grieving the end of a chapter that's closing. I'm going to be saying goodbye to a business, a building that has been my home for 11 years. And that's going to be really bittersweet. So thank you for being along this journey. Thank you for showing up each week to listen to me go on and on and on. I love you so much, and I appreciate you so much for being here and sharing this space and holding space for me and praying and hoping and setting the intention every single week that you resonate or you take something from this that feels good and that reminds you that you are not alone in this journey. And I would love for you to share with me what resonated from this episode. I would love for you to share it with a friend or a family member. I would love for you to come say hi on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, because knowing that you are here, knowing that you feel seen or feel understood by these episodes is, at the end of the day, exactly why I do it. So, all right. I will see you guys next week, and let's hope that things don't get any crazier. But be careful what you wish for.